स्टूडेंट्स, माई सेल्फ डॉक्टर चंचल शर्मा। लास्ट टाइम हमने बेटा जो टॉपिक किया था सर्कुलेशन का, उसमें हमने कार्डियक साइकिल तक ही किया था। नाउ आई एम स्टार्टिंग विद द टॉपिक इलेक्ट्रोकार्डियोग्राम। एज यू नो, an electrocardiogram is a graphical record of all the electrical variations in voltage versus time produced by beating of the heart, which is known as electrocardiogram ECG। ये जो वेरिएशंस होती है ये किस कारण होती है? इट इज़ ड्यू टू डेवलपमेंट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिविटी ऑफ एक्साइटेड कार्डियक मसल्स एज कंपेयर्ड विद अनएक्साइटेड मसल फाइबर्स, एंड दीज इलेक्ट्रिकल चेंजेस आर पिक्ड अप बाय surface electrodes which are produced in different positions on the body over a period of time. So an instrument used to observe the working of the heart is known as electrocardiograph. An electrocardiograph is a stand 12 lead EKG, but since the lead can share the same electrode, so EKG happens to need only 10 electrodes, out of which 4 are limb leads and 6 are precordial leads, which are lying on the perpendicular horizontal plane. So in this instrument, each of the 12 ECG leads record the electrical activity of the heart from different anatomical areas of the heart. This instrument, electrocardiograph, was discovered by a Dutch physiologist which is known as William Einthoven in 1901, which is also known as father of electrocardiography. Though ECG was the first recorded by Waller, most modern clinical electrograph used in the pen recorder is which a pen records the ECG directly on a moving sheet of paper. So in this, 3 electrograph bipolar limb leads are used. ECG may be connected to a oscilloscope which shows the ECG on a TV type screen. So in this instrument ECG, it is formed of a series of ridges and furrows. ECG taken when a patient is lying down is called a resting ECG, but ECG taken when a patient is exercising is called stress ECG. Normal pattern of ECG for a healthy person in which there are 3 type of waves: P waves, which indicate the impulse of contraction generated by SA node. It indicates the electrical potential generated as the atria depolarizes prior to their contraction. Second is QRS wave, which indicates the spread of impulse of contraction from AV node to the wall of ventricles and is caused by electrical potentials which are generated prior to contraction of ventricles. These two, P wave and QRS waves, these are collectively called depolarization waves. The T wave represent the relaxation of the ventricles or recovery from the state of depolarization. So these are also called repolarization waves. It occurs about 0.25 to 0.35 seconds after the ventricular contraction. So ECG is formed of both depolarization and repolarization waves. During depolarization, a cardiac muscle's fiber has reverse polarity, means positively charged inside and negatively charged outside, while it is opposite in repolarization, that is positive charge outside and negative charge inside. The atria depolarizes about 0.15 to 0.20 seconds after the P wave. But atrial T wave is not observed because it is dominated by large QRS wave of ventricular depolarization. The part of the baseline between any two deflections is known as interval. The PQ interval, which is the interval between the beginning of the P wave and that of QRS wave, is about 0.16 second, while QT interval between the beginning of the Q wave to the end of the T wave is about 0.35 second. So the P, R and T waves are above the baseline of the ECG and are called positive waves, while Q and S waves below the baseline are called negative waves. Now the significance of ECG. Any abnormality in the working of the heart changes the waves patient of ECG and can be interpreted by a trained physician to diagnose a particular disorder. The technique to detect the abnormalities of the heart like high blood pressure, rheumatic fever and birth defect, irregularities in the heart rhythm, effects of certain drugs on a heart with the help of ECG is known as electrocardiography. So it is a very commonly performed cardiology test. Second, if we talk about heart rate, the rate of heartbeat can be determined from ECG between the time interval between the two successive heartbeat is reciprocal of the heart. So normal interval between the two successive QRS waves is nearly about 0.83 seconds. So normal rate of heartbeat is 60 upon 0.83 times, that is 72 beats per time. Its other significance is it can also be used to certain other informations like size and position of the heart chambers, presence of any damage to heart muscles or conducting system effect of cardiac changes. Now we talk about cardiac output. What is cardiac output? Cardiac output is the amount of blood ejected from both the ventricles of the heart in the great arteries in 1 minute. So normal values of cardiac output is stroke volume into my rate of heartbeat, that is 70 ml into my 70 to 72 times per minute is about cardiac output is about 5 liters per minute. So every minute about 5 liters of blood passes through heart. As heartbeat about 2.5 billion times in the course of lifetime, so about 170 million liters of blood is pumped out in the lifetime. What are the factors which affect the stroke volume? Factors affecting stroke volume are preload, myocardial contractility, and most are the factors which affect the stroke volume, like heart rate, heart and venous return compliance, etc. So these are the factors which responses the cardiac output. Now what are the if we can say ki if this is a normal cardiac output for a resting adult. So now we talk about blood pressure. What is the blood pressure? It is the pressure exerted by the blood on the wall of the blood vessels in which it is present. Types of blood pressure, it is of two types. First is systolic blood pressure, second is diastolic blood pressure. If we talk about systolic blood pressure is the pressure which the blood exerts on the wall of the blood vessels at the end of systolic contraction of ventricles. This blood pressure is highest during the pressure cycle and is recorded during the first tap-like sound in the stethoscope. It indicates the force with which the left ventricle pushes the blood in the aortic arch. In a normal resting adult, it is about 120 mmHg or 16 kPa. It is maximum in the arteries because the arteries are always stretched, but it gradually decreases from arteries to arterioles. Second is diastolic blood pressure. It is the pressure which the blood exerts on the wall of arteries when the ventricles are maximally relaxed, that is incomplete cardiac diastole. When your heart rests between the beats, it is the minimum during the pressure cycle and is recorded when in the stethoscope the second heart sound tends to muffle. It indicates the elasticity of the blood vessel. In a normal resting adult man, it is about 80 mmHg. It is also called lower limit of the arterial blood pressure. It is maintained by recoiling tendency of distending arteries, though no blood is pumped in the arteries by the heart. So during each heartbeat, the arterial blood pressure in a normal human adult or person rises to about 120 mm in the systolic phase and falls to about 80 mmHg in the diastolic phase. The difference between the systolic and diastolic pressure is called pulse pressure and its normal value is 40 mmHg. Now we talk about mean arterial pressure. Systolic and diastolic arterial pressure are not static but undergo natural variations from one heartbeat to another throughout the day. So mean arterial pressure is the average arterial pressure during the complete heartbeat and it is defined as the pressure which determines the average rate of blood flow through the systematic vessels. Now if we talk about the measurement of blood pressure is measured in millimeters of mercury by help of instrument which is known as sphygmanometer. In the sphygmanometer, the height of the mercury column reflects the circulating pressure. It was invented by Korat coffee. In this, the blood pressure is measured in the term of air pressure. When the air pressure becomes equal to the blood pressure in the radial artery, this is called osculatory method, and it is the indirect measurement of systolic and diastolic pressure. In this method, a blood pressure cuff is placed around the upper arm and it is connected by a tube to a mercury manometer of the sphygmomanometer. To determine the systolic pressure, the cuff is inflated with air and a stethoscope is placed over the branchial artery just below the elbow joint. When the cuff pressure becomes higher than the blood pressure in the branchial artery, the wall of the artery collapses because more pressure is exerted against the outside of the arterial wall than against inside the blood. So no blood flows into the lower artery, so no sound is heard by the stethoscope. Then the cuff pressure is gradually reduced. When the cuff pressure is great enough to partly occlude the vessel, then a sound is heard with each pulsation. Such sounds are called coronary sounds and are probably due to blood jetting through the blood vessels. The cuff is further deflated. When the cuff pressure falls just below the systolic pressure, then the tapping sounds are heard in synchrony with the heartbeat. During this, the pressure recorded by manometer is a measure of systolic pressure. The cuff is deflated further. When the cuff pressure falls below the diastolic pressure, blood then flows through the artery with no jet-like burst. Then the sounds suddenly become muffled and finally disappear with a further fall of 5 to 10 mm drop of cuff pressure. The pressure recorded during the stoppage of cuff sounds give the diastolic pressure. The values of blood pressure given by osculatory method are within 10% of valves given by the direct measurement from the arteries. So this was about the measurement of blood pressure. Thank you students.